Hi, friends, it's me, Miss Munoz. I'm back. Yes, I'm back with another amazing story about what, you guessed it, crayons are favorite. Now, we've been reading a lot of stories about our friends, the crayons, but we haven't read a story yet about a man who invented the crayon. That's right, this man right here. He invented the crayon. So today's story is called The Crayon Man, the True Story of the Invention of Crayola Crayons by Natasha Bebo and illustrated by Stephen Salerno. Now, friends, as you're listening to the story today, I want to remind you about being a good reader. Now, good readers, they read and they also listen for those key details that help them answer questions. So, friends, those questions that we're going to be asking today are going to start with some important words like who, what, when, where, why, and how. So, friends, as you're listening today, make sure that we are really have our eyes watching and our ears listening so that we're able to answer those questions today as we're reading. So, are you ready? I'm ready. Let's get started. So there's what we're going to be learning about today, friends. Crayons. And here's the beginning of our story. Once there was a man who saw color everywhere. He noticed the yellow-orange petals of the black-eyed Susans in his garden. He marveled at the scarlet-red tones of the cardinal's feathers. He admired the deep blue greens of the waves in the sea. Color made him really, really happy. But all day long at work, all he saw was black. Black dust, black tar, black smoke, black ink, black dye, black shoe polish. His company sold carbon black, a new kind of pigment or colored substance made from the soot of burning oil and natural gas. People used it in printing inks, electric street lamps, and stove and shoe polish. It also made rubber car tires last much longer. His name was Edwin Binney, and he was an inventor. He worked with his cousin, C. Harold Smith. Together they were Binney and Smith. So, friends, looking at this page, I want us to start thinking about those questions that I was asking you at the beginning. So, who are the two characters we just met in the story? So I'm going to look for those details. Good readers reread and they use pictures to gain those details. So if I look at the picture, I see the names on the building, Binney and Smith, and then I can also go back to my story and reread. His name was Edwin Binney, and he was an inventor. He worked with his cousin, C. Harold Smith. So, friends, remember when we're asking those questions, we're going back and digging for those details. And we can use our story or the pictures. Let's see what happens next to these two guys. Edwin invented a new kind of inexpensive slate pencil that wrote very smoothly. It was gray. Children loved it. He invented a kind of chalk that wasn't dusty and didn't crumble. It was white. Teachers loved it. He invented a wax crayon that would write on wood and paper packaging. It was really, really black. People loved it. Paper was expensive in the 1800s, so children wrote with slate pencils or chalk on slates, small hand blackboards. Remember, friends, when did this take place? Friends, this part of the story took place in the past. Yes, remember we learned back in the classroom about things that happened in the past? Well, in the past, remember students would write on chalkboards like we write on our whiteboards, but in the past, people wrote on chalkboards. So Edwin, he invented chalk to help the students and the teachers. So, when everyone, including Edwin's wife Alice, told him that children needed better, cheaper crayons, he listened. They said, "The crayons we have are big, dull, and clumsy. The clumps of colored clay only make fat, chunky lines, and the artist crayons from Europe are far too expensive. They crumble and break easily. Some are even poisonous." Alice used to be a school teacher, so she knew what the children needed. So she encouraged Edwin to invent the crayons. So, friends, let's think about one of those questions. What did Edwin invent first? I'm thinking. My thinking rock is up. Oh, I'm going to go back and dig for details. First, he invented chalk. Then he invented a black crayon. Okay. So I can use my pictures and I can even go back into the story and reread. All right, let's see what happens next. Even though Edwin thought about his company's inventions, when you drew a picture with their gray slate pencil, it rubbed off at the top of a hat. When you drew a picture with their white chalk, it smudged everywhere. If you drew a picture with Edwin's new, really black crayon, it was, well, really black. None of these inventions was any good for drawing in color. So Edwin listened and invented in a small stone mill in Pennsylvania in a top secret lab. Edwin's team experimented. How could they make better, stronger crayons? Melted paraffin wax, perhaps? The first colored crayons invented in Europe were made from a mixture of charcoal and oil, so they broke easily to make stronger crayons. Edwin, he tried to use wax instead. Now for the crayon colors. Grinding up rocks and minerals into fine powders. Mixing and mixing. Slate for gray, earth for yellow, red and brown perhaps. Oh yes, and lapis for blue. Pounding, sifting, and heating the colored powders. Would they be bright enough? Edwin's team kept on trying. They kept experimenting. And they came home covered in colors. They experimented some more and discovered a pinch of this pigment and a sploosh of that one, a little hotter, a little cooler, and voila, lots of different shades. Now there were greens, oranges, violets, and pinks too. Edwin came home covered in color. To make orange, green, and violet, chemists blended various pigments and clays. Some minerals changed color when heated, plus the length of time the mixtures were left to cool created different colors too. Very interesting. In a large tub at the mill, Edwin's team measured out the ingredients: melted wax, clay to thicken, something for texture, colored powders, just each in just the right amount every time to make a top secret formula. Slowly, carefully, stirring by hand, they poured the special formula into thin crayon-shaped molds, smaller than any other inventor, just the right size for children's hands. The mixture cooled and hardened. Edwin watched and waited. Friends, where are the characters in the story right now? Thinking rocks are up. I'm going to go back. I'm going to look at the picture and reread for details. Let's start at the beginning. That's always a great place to start. In a large tub at the mill. So the characters in the story are at the mill. Remember, at the beginning, that's where Edwin and his cousin are working. Great job, friends. Great digging for details. Finally, one summer evening in June 1903, that's a long time ago, friends, over 100 years ago, Edwin came home covered in color and announced that he had invented a new colored crayon. But what should he call it? Alice had an idea. She said, let's mix the French word cray for stick of chalk and the word ola from the word oleogenous, meaning oily, like oily texture, for the crayon wax to invent the word Crayola. Crayola, Edwin listened. Who gave Edwin the idea for the name? My thinking rocks up. I'm going to look at the picture. There she is. And who was that? Alice had an idea. And who was Alice? Alice was his wife. And remember, she was a school teacher. Okay, friends, let's keep reading. Binney and Smith shipped out the first Crayola crayon boxes. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, brown, and black. 8 colored crayons for only a nickel. 5 cents, friends, just 5 cents. Edwin waited. Would the children like them? They did. Now they could draw a tiny green caterpillar or a big blue sky. Their drawings wouldn't smudge and they wouldn't rub out. They were bright and could last a long, long time. By the 1900s, inventors had figured out how to make cheaper paper from wood pulp. So children could now draw on paper instead of just slate. Remember those black chalkboards they had? Yeah, well, friends, guess what? Now they have paper, just like us. Excitement over the new, colorful invention spread like wildfire. Admirers from far and wide flocked to marvel at Binney Smith's inventions at the St. Louis World's Fair. We have a fair. We go to the Fresno Fair. Well, in the past, these characters went to the fair to go see the latest and greatest inventions. And guess what they saw? Crayons. How awesome. The company's dustless chalk even won a gold medal. Oh, friends, a gold medal. I know, some of you won gold medals too. So did Edwin. He got a gold medal for the best Chalk. Proudly, Edwin and Harold showed it off, especially on their new crayon boxes. Look, they were so proud they even wrote on it gold medal. How awesome is that? So everybody knew those were the best. Every day, Edwin brought colorful bouquets from his garden to inspire the Crayola team. They made crayons in even more different shades, and later they asked children to help name some of them. To celebrate the company's 90th anniversary, Crayola held a coloring naming competition. The 6-year-old winner, 6 years old, some of you are 6 years old. Yes, my first graders. The 6-year-old contest winner coined Tropical Rainforest. The other color names created by children included Robin's Egg Blue, Tickle Me Pink, and Macaroni and Cheese. Oh, how cool are those crayons, friends? At last, because of Edwin Binney, the man who saw color everywhere, who had a knack for listening and making what people needed, children all around the world could reach for just the right shade. Sunglow, wisteria, jungle green, screaming green, razzmatazz, robin eggs blue, wild watermelon, marvelous, purple mountain's majesty, cadet blue, lavender, timberwolf, to draw anything. So, friends, why do you think the children loved these new crayons? Thinking looks around. Well, friends, looking at this picture, I think the children loved the new crayons because they could draw whatever they imagined, whatever they wanted, they were able to draw. Because in the beginning, remember, their only choice, friends, was a black crayon. And now they have amazing colors to choose from, just like you do in our class every day. So, friends, I want to thank you for listening to our story today, The Crayon Man, the true story of the invention of the Crayola crayons. I'll be reading more stories to you soon. Thank you, friends, for listening, having good listening ears for those key details, using our thinking rocks. Have an amazing week. I love you. I miss you. Can't wait to see you guys soon. Okay, bye.